Hello everyone, my name is Rich and welcome back to another video. Today join me for a little before versus after video, and today we're looking at the Fife Circle. So yes, the Fife Circle recently got updated to include the 158s, and I thought, I'll tell you what, let's take a little look at it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the wonderful Class 170 in the original timetable and also in the Class 158 timetable, just to kind of compare the differences in services, see how busy it is and all that sort of stuff. Without any further ado, let's jump into the Fife Circle and see what it's like before versus after. So here we go, we're here in the main menu. Let's take a little look at the two Fife Circle timetables. So if we jump into it, you can see we've got the Class 170 timetable and the Sprinter Express timetable, which interestingly has less services than the Class 170 timetable. If we jump into the original one, you can see we've got the 170, we've got the 385, we've got the Jubilee, we've got the Scotsman, and we've got the Class 40. The Class 170 obviously does the bulk of the services, does pretty much everything, to be honest. Of course, with the 385, it's relatively short services along the Edinburgh-Glasgow route, so you've got like 20-minute services, 7-minute services, that sort of stuff. And of course, you've got a couple of rail tours with the Jubilee, the Scotsman, and the Class 40. Jumping into the Sprinter Express timetable, obviously, you've still got the 170, we've got the 385. In this timetable, we've got the 380, and we've also got the star of the show, the Class 158. Now, one thing I do find quite interesting is that the Class 66 is included, so it means we've got some freight, which is quite cool. And of course, we've got the Flying Scotsman, which is interestingly the only rail tour we've got on the route, so I'm guessing maybe because it's a newer timetable, maybe like 2024 or something like that, that only the Flying Scotsman was seen on the Fife Circle at this point. But if we jump into the respective services, obviously the 170 does a couple of services. It does noticeably less services in this timetable, which is quite interesting. If we jump into the star of the show, the Class 158, this actually does a lot more services, a load more services in fact. So you can do like 5-car services, you can do services up to Glenrothes, down to Dundee, all sorts of different places. Jumping into the 385 again, you can see this does all sorts of stuff, and interestingly, this is the 3-car variant, not the 4-car variant. And if we jump into the Class 380, you can see we've got a couple more services as well, so plenty of 5-minute services. And there we go, that is the main differences between the two timetables. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into a Class 170 and drive it along the Fife Circle. So let's get into it. Right then, here we go. I've jumped into 1 Lima 23 Edinburgh Waverley to Dundee. So let's get ourselves started and get ourselves set up, shall we? So obviously the setup won't be any different between the two versions. That'll all stay the same. So this is Edinburgh Waverley beforehand. So you can see you've got a 385 over there. We've got another 170 just there. There's not really much else going on the timetable. And of course, as we saw in the main menu, we should see some 380s and stuff like that as well. So hopefully there is some other things we see. But yeah, this is a really nice station. I love Edinburgh so much. It's such a beautiful city, it really is. I went there recently and I've got plenty of footage around the station, so I need to make some more videos out of it, but it is such a stunning station as that 170 leaves down there. Anyway, as that 170 leaves, let's get ready to go. So we're going to be going as far as Dalmeny today. I think this service calls out, let's have a little look, Haymarket and Edinburgh Gateway. And then it goes on towards Inverkeithing. I kind of want to look at like the southern end of this line before the bridge. That's why I'm going to stop it at Dalmeny in the before versus after section, just to kind of see how busy it is really. So I feel like this section of line will be the busiest because at like Inverkeithing it splits off and it gets a bit quieter. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. So let's get the doors locked and let's get ready to go, shall we? Right then, full beans, let's get going. So we have got a red as we come out of Haymarket because we have got that 170 that's just left. So I wonder if that'll stay the same, or maybe it'll be a 158, who knows? So let's get going. Right, all the beans to Haymarket, well, half beans so we don't spat, but let's get going. I love the 170s, I really, really do. I'm so glad that we've got different versions of the 170 as well now with the cross-country one and the West Midlands Railway one. So, I mean, what other 170s are left? Is it the Northern? I think there's Northern and EMR. So, you know, hopefully soon we have like a whole collection of 170s. So as we roll out of Edinburgh Waverley, we've got 1.1 miles to Haymarket. So it's not quiet this route, but it certainly could be a bit busier. We have still got a red coming up, so I need to pay attention to that. I think that might be service specific though, who knows? It might be the same sort of thing in the 158 timetable. There we go, the signal's just cleared, got the castle up there. Oh, it's such a stunning route. I really, really like the Fife Circle, and I'm so glad to see that the 158 timetables finally come out, because I know a lot of people picked up Fife Circle and the 158 to be able to drive that train on that route. It's good that we can finally do it, so I'm very much looking forward to playing a lot more of it because it's a pretty decent timetable in my opinion. Right then, into the tunnel as we head towards Haymarket. Lovely stuff. Not the first time we're going to be doing that today. So as we fly towards Haymarket, we did just go past another 170 service, so that's one thing you see already. So there's two different 170s we've seen already. So what's going to be quite cool to see is whether these are still 170 services or if they're maybe 158 services, or they could be those funky 5-car ones, who knows. Right, we have got a red just before Haymarket station, so I'm guessing that 170 that left before us is going to be in the station, probably. Right then, here we go, emerging out the tunnel at Haymarket. So let's get some brakes in, shall we? All the brakes, please. So let's slow right down. And I'm going to have a little fly around here to see what's on the PIS, because that'll be good to compare as well. Right, gently does it. I've not got my lights on, that's not good. So let me stop there. All the brakes, lovely stuff. Nice, unlock the doors, and let me turn my lights on, please. That's a good idea. There we go, that's much better. Yeah, I feel like I'm actually doing things properly. Right, PIS here at Haymarket. Let's take a little look. So let's take a little look at this one. So there's a service due into Haymarket in around about 25 minutes time. So that seems like it's not very regular, so maybe there might be something else. Formed of 4 coaches, so that's a 385 for sure. So maybe the 380s might come through here. I know in real life the Azumas would come through here, so I wonder if we'll see stuff like that. Now, one thing I am quite curious about is that Skyhook did that express timetable with the 158 on Edinburgh Glasgow, so I wonder if they've used bits of that timetable on this, because obviously they share the same route. So it'd be very cool to see whether the AI traffic or the playable traffic from Edinburgh Glasgow on their timetable has come across to this. That'd be really cool. But yeah, it's not the busiest route in the world for sure, but the Edinburgh Glasgow one's a bit more significant, I'd say. But yeah, this one's going to be a little bit quieter. Anyway, let's get going towards Edinburgh Gateway, our next calling point. So let's get the doors shut and let's get ready to go, shall we? All the beans, let's get going. Off we go, and a couple of tones out of Haymarket. Let's get going. Lovely. I do like the 170s. I think they're absolutely amazing, I really do. Anyway, we're certainly shifting now up to 90 mile an hour. So the depot, that's one thing I want to take a little look at to see if there's any differences there, because I think realistically you should see 158s and plenty of other things there. Here we go as we fly on past the depot. So we've got a 170 just there, that's chilling out. There's not really much else going on here, is there? Is there anything sneaking around here? No, so just a couple of 170s in the depot. That's fine. We'll obviously take a little look and see what else we can see. Ah, there is something else there. What's that? That's another 170. So just 170s, nothing else. So as we reach 60 mile an hour, there's not really much else in terms of AI traffic. Like I say, the next service into Haymarket isn't due in for like another half an hour, so you're not really going to see much going on. So here we go, we're approaching the end of the line where we share it with the Edinburgh Glasgow route, and we're veering off up the 5 circles. So yeah, with not much AI traffic on this section. I would have liked to have seen a bit more. There's obviously another 170 coming the other way, but that's coming from the 5 circle. I'm on about these 2 lines here, but there's another 170. So there's plenty of 170s for sure. That's like, what, 4 that we've seen already? So in the terms of the actual 5 circle traffic, not bad at all. Right, then we're veering around the corner very quickly around here, so let's slow down just a little bit, just a little bit as we fly through South Gyle. Right then, as we speed up towards 90 mile an hour, let's take a little look at South Gyle and see what the PIS is saying there, seeing what's calling there, because I don't think this gets served as much as the other stations. So here's South Gyle, couple of tones, lovely stuff, and let's take a little look at the PIS, shall we? So the next service due in here is a Dundee service at 7:43, so I wonder if that'll change. Obviously got a couple of Glenrothes services as well, so not as much stuff. What about this one? There's a service due in at 49 and also 8:04, so they're quite close together of the services. Oh, here's Edinburgh Gateway. We're going to fly straight through it. Oh, it's okay. We're going to call this an express run. It's fine. We just want to see how busy the timetable is. Oh, we've got another 170. So there's actually quite a lot of services. There's another 170 service which is going into Gateway, which we'll obviously just skipped, but it's fine. It's okay. It's all right. So all the beans up towards Dalmeny. So it's quite interesting because in terms of timetable, this service is actually quite busy. I think I've picked a good one here. So let's see what the differences are going to be, whether it's going to be busier. I don't imagine it will be, but maybe it might be different traffic. It might be 158, it might be 5 cars. Of course, got the airport over there. I think one thing that always people have said is they would have been cool to see some like planes going in and out that airport. That would have looked really cool. Anyway, we're on the approach into Dalmeny. We've actually got a red just beforehand, so that's going to kind of help us out. So let's slow down a little bit. I feel like we're following something here. We might well be following something, so that's going to be quite interesting whether that changes in the after version. I do find it quite interesting that in this timetable, like we saw at South Gyle, the services are quite clustered together. So like obviously this 170 and the 170 ahead of me are going the same way pretty much, but I guess we split off at Inverkeithing. So we're like chasing another 170 service, and as we've just seen, there's been 3 other 170s going back the other way, which are all chasing each other as well. So that's quite interesting that they're clustered up like that. Right then, here is Dalmeny, so let's get some brakes in. This is going to be a difficult one because we're kind of doing this hoodless because there's no information or anything like that, so we're kind of just guessing where to stop. Right then, let's get some brakes in here for Dalmeny. Let's not overshoot this one. Funnily enough, a station that we don't actually need to stop at, I'll probably end up stopping perfectly at. But one we need to stop at, like Gateway, I can't stop at for some reason. That's just RichyRail things, that. And there we go, we're stopping here for Dalmeny, and that was a little look at the 5 circle timetable beforehand, and it's relatively busy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the 158 timetable, and we're going to drive another 170, the same service. I think I found the same head code, but it's a slightly different time. So let's jump into the 158 timetable and see what differences we see. So here we go, I've jumped into the after version, and we're back into 1L23 Edinburgh Waverley to Dundee. So let's get ourselves started and get ourselves set up, shall we? Right, let's pop that in there. Let's put that into forwards. Awesome stuff. Unlock the doors. So we're on the same platform. We've still got a 170 there. We've also got a 385, but I think it's a couple of platforms over. Oh no, I tell a lie. We were in that platform, so we've actually changed platform, which is quite interesting. Also, that 170 service isn't in service. I also need to turn my lights on. I'll forget about that. So let's have a little fly around Edinburgh Waverley. So we've got the 385, which is in the same spot. That's cool. And I'll tell you what else we almost missed. This, the 158 in leaving livery. So that obviously wasn't there before. So there you go. There's a 158 doing a service very shortly. What time is that due to leave? That's due to leave in 5 minutes, so that'll be following us. Right, so let's get going towards Dalmeny once more. Let's get the doors locked, and then we'll get going. Right, then let's get going. And what's interesting with this service, although it's the same head code, we have got green straight through to Haymarket, so we're on a much clearer path than before. So maybe, you know, the way that the older timetable worked, it was a bit more clustered together, so maybe it might not be as clustered this time. Right, then up to 20 mile an hour as we leave Waverley. Lovely stuff. So yeah, we need to keep an eye out for other stuff. Is that something coming through there? No, I can't see anything coming through there, but hopefully we see more stuff along the Edinburgh-Glasgow bit anyway. Right, then we're on the way to Haymarket. Lovely stuff. There's the castle once again. Honestly, I really like this section of line. The bit between Edinburgh Waverley and the bridge I absolutely love. I mean, the whole route's nice, but there's just something about it. It kind of feels quite familiar because I've been there quite recently. Right, then up to 35 as we go through the tunnel. So when we were in the tunnel, there was actually another 170 service going back the other way. That might have changed, you know, because we're slightly later in the day. Not massively later in the day, like 15 minutes later. We probably might not see the same AI. It might be even quieter, who knows. Right, as we fly through the tunnel, there is no other 170 services, so that's quite interesting. So there's one service down. Hopefully the rest of the run makes up for it. Oh, I can hear something in the other tunnel. What's that there? Is that, that might be a, is that 170? Oh, it might even be a 385, a free car 385. So there you go. So we have seen another 385 along the run. Right then, into Haymarket once more. So I'll have a little look at the PIS again here, if we've got time, because noticeably, we had like a 5-minute wait at Haymarket in the before section, so we're straight into Haymarket and probably going to be leaving straight away as well. Well, that's interesting. There's another 385 there. So one's just gone into Waverley and another one's coming in straight away, so we don't need to really look at the PIS because, well, evidently, there is more stuff coming in. I tell you what, let's take a little look at this PIS board this time. So there's a service due in at 37, so still another half an hour's time, but noticeably 2 different 385s, so it's instantly busier along this section. This is quite interesting. So our 170 has only got like a 45-second wait here at Haymarket compared to the 5 minutes just before, so that's quite interesting. Anyway, let's get going towards Gateway. We'll probably go straight through that station though, because I didn't stop at it before, but we'll see. We'll see how I feel when we get there. Right, let's get going. All the beans as the 385 leaves as well. So that's really interesting that the same service, the same head code, has so many differences. You know, beforehand we saw different 170s, this time we're seeing 385s, so there is a noticeable difference there, which is quite cool. Here we go, this is Haymarket Depot, and noticeably there's no 170s, it's all 158s. So there's a 158 there, there's one just behind there. I wonder if there's anything else. And there's another 158 there, so it's all just 158s, but I think they're all in the same positions as the 170s, which is interesting. Right then, let's fly up towards 90 mile an hour. So yeah, there's some quite cool differences. The depot's different, the 385 services are different, so interestingly, we've not seen another 170 go back the other way, so I wonder if we'll see something soon. Now, I feel like we're having some deja vu because we're coming up towards the 5 circle and we've not seen anything else, but we have seen some 385 services, so it is a little bit busier along the Edinburgh-Glasgow section, which is quite interesting. Is there any last minute surprises? I don't think there is. No, there's nothing else coming back the other way, which is fine. I guess I would like to hope that there's Zoomers and stuff going down there, because realistically you would see that. So, you know, you've just got to time it right, I suppose, haven't you? Right then, rounding the corner towards South Gyle once more. Is there anything else coming? No, there's nothing coming down there. So, no other 170 services, whereas there was 3 by this point. Right, as we fly through South Gyle, I'm actually going to take the beans off so I can stop at Gateway, but we'll take a very, very quick look at the PIS, which was this one here. So, less clustered, there you go, the services are like half an hour apart. So the services are actually split up, there's not many clusters and stuff like that, which is very interesting. So, as we can see, the services are a bit more spread out. I wonder if that was sort of prototypical of the older timetable, and then they needed to fix it in real life, and that's what they did. Because I think this is based off the 2024 working timetable. I don't know what the original 170 timetable is based on. It might be like the 2019 working timetable, so if you know, let me know. Anyway, here is Edinburgh Gateway, so let's get slowed down for this station, shall we? Let's actually stop here, because we didn't do that beforehand. So look, there we go. New and improved timetable, new and improved RichyRail. That's what I say. Right then, let's stop there and let's take a little look at the PIS here as well, see if there's anything due in anytime soon. And let's stop there, lovely stuff. Open the doors, we've got 45 seconds to wait here. So, PIS, let's have a little look. Now, there's not a service due in until 7:26, and it's free coach service, so the 158, obviously, if it was a 158 service, it would say 2 coaches, but some of them do call here, but not all of them. Right then, and just like that, we can get going towards Dalmeny. So let's get the doors locked, and let's get ready to go. So, it's interesting, I'm not seeing as much stuff as we did beforehand. Right then, let's get going towards Dalmeny once more. Let's get going. All the beans out of Gateway. Right then, off we go, and a couple of tones as we leave. Lovely stuff. Right, let's get going towards Dalmeny. I really hope we see something else on this little stretch of front. Come on in, 170, get all your beans up. Let's keep going, let's keep going. So again, another interesting thing is that with this service, we're not chasing yellows, which is what we did beforehand, which I suppose makes it a bit better because you're not chasing a service and having to constantly stop. I know that's like good in like Brighton Main Line and stuff like that, but for this route, that's not kind of realistic. I feel like the services should be a bit more spread out, and it kind of makes more sense. Right then, up to 70 mile an hour as we head towards Dalmeny and we fly past the airport here. See what I did there? Interestingly, no 158 services, so there's not too much more going on, but like I say, the service we picked beforehand, the services were all clustered together. Right then, as we climb the hill, I think I can see something else. There's another 170, there we go. I was thinking we weren't going to see another one there. There we go, a lovely 170 going past. So, obviously, like I say, not too much in terms of 158 services, but I'm guessing they're in other places. Right then, let's round the corner towards Dalmeny and let's make sure we get in for a safe stop. So, yeah, the after version's different, don't get me wrong, because we've obviously got different 385 services. There's a few more bits of stock around Edinburgh Waverley, so there is some noticeable differences between the two timetables. But the section going up towards Dalmeny is a little bit quieter. But like I say, even my service is around about 15 minutes later than what it was in the original timetable. So I'm guessing the timetable's been reworked to the point where, like I said, the services are a bit more spread out, or they're a bit more realistic, or they're based off a different working timetable. So there is some different factors here, which is you need to take into consideration, I think. Anyway, here is Dalmeny, so let's get some gentle brakes in here. We might see something else coming in from the bridge, who knows? Right then, all the brakes as we see the wonderful 4th bridge in the distance there. Look at that, absolutely stunning. So, let's stop here for Dalmeny and I'll give you my final thoughts. Right then, here we go, we're here at Dalmeny, and what do I think of the two timetables? I think it's interesting that the after version is actually a little bit quieter than the before section. But don't get me wrong, I don't think the after timetable is intentionally quieter. I think the stuff's just a bit more spread out. It seemed like in the before section there was more clusters of services, and then you wouldn't see anything for like 50 minutes. Whereas with this, you'll probably see stuff at like a more regular basis. So it all very much depends, and you know, when I come to look at this in a live stream, I might be able to notice that a bit more. I do still think there could be some changes to this timetable. I think now that we've got the voyages and stuff in game, it'd be really, really cool to see them on the route. I feel like there's a fair few services that we are missing that we would realistically see. Same with the Azumas as well. It'd be really cool to see them. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you like the new timetable? Is there any differences that you've spotted? Do you feel like the services are a bit more spread out? Let me know down below. So now that we've driven this Class 170 service before versus after along the Fife circle, I'm going to leave that video there. So, thank you all for watching this video. I've been Richie and I'll hopefully see you all next time. Bye bye.